What happens when you place a massive 152mm howitzer on a tank? Why did Soviet engineers design such a vehicle? Was this enormous turret really an advantage? Or was the KV-2 a flawed design from the very day it was built? In this video, we will examine the KV-2 not only through its battlefield story. We will look at every technical detail, from the reason it was developed, to its armor, from its engine, to its suspension system, from its 152mm howitzer, to its performance in combat. Join Warkon SteelLab as we take a journey through time and shed light on one of the strangest, yet most beloved tanks in history. Let's begin. The KV-2 is undoubtedly one of the first vehicles that comes to mind when we think of the most unusual tanks of the Second World War. The main reason is its enormous turret, which looked completely different from conventional tank designs. But this unusual appearance was not created for show. It was designed to meet a very specific military need. The KV-2 was not designed for classic tank duels. It was designed as a heavy assault vehicle capable of destroying concrete bunkers and fortified positions. The main reason for this need was the Soviet-Finnish Winter War of 1939 and 1940. When the Soviet army failed to effectively destroy the concrete defensive lines of Finland's Mannerheim Line with its existing tank guns, it needed a weapon with a much larger caliber. Instead of developing an entirely new vehicle, the Soviets based the design on the chassis of the KV-1 heavy tank, which was already in production. A much more powerful weapon could then be mounted on it. This would shorten development time, and it would also allow the existing production infrastructure to be used. Several howitzer options were considered during the initial stage, but after evaluation, the 152mm M10 howitzer was selected as the most suitable solution. To accommodate such a large weapon, the standard KV-1 turret was completely inadequate. A new turret with a large internal volume was therefore designed, and this created the iconic appearance that would distinguish the KV-2 from almost every other tank. The first prototype was prepared in approximately 2 weeks. It successfully completed its trials in 1940, and shortly afterward, the vehicle entered mass production. According to sources, approximately 204 to 334 KV-2s were produced between 1940 and 1941. The foundation of the KV-2 was the chassis of the KV-1, the heavy tank of the Soviet Union. But this similarity was largely limited to the hull. The enormous turret mounted on top transformed the KV-2 into a completely different vehicle in terms of appearance. The KV-2 was approximately 6.8 meters long, 3.3 meters wide, and its height varied between 3.2 and 3.5 meters, depending on the model. This made the KV-2 one of the largest armored tanks of its era. Its weight varied between approximately 54 and 58 tons, depending on the variant. The most striking part of the tank was undoubtedly its turret. This enormous structure weighed approximately 13 tons. It was designed as large as possible to accommodate the 152mm howitzer. Early production models used a more angular turret. In later production, a new turret design was introduced. This was intended both to reduce weight and to simplify production. Late production models also received an additional DT machine gun at the rear of the turret. A new hatch was also added to make ammunition loading easier. Armor protection was one of the KV-2's greatest strengths. The thickness of the armor used on the hull and turret varied between 75 and 110 millimeters, depending on the model. The particularly thick frontal armor was extremely effective against the 37 and 50 millimeter anti-tank guns used by the German army in 1941. As a result, during the early stages of the war, many German tanks and anti-tank weapons had great difficulty disabling the KV-2 from the front. The KV-2 had a crew of 6. The driver worked in the front section of the hull. The rest of the crew worked largely inside the spacious turret. This large internal volume made it easier to load the heavy 152mm ammunition, but it also created significant difficulties. The great height of the tank made it easy for the enemy to spot from a distance, and the heavy turret raised the center of gravity. This could cause stability problems, especially on sloped terrain. For this reason, although the KV-2 was an impressive vehicle because of its powerful armor, its enormous turret severely limited its mobility. The greatest problem of the KV-2 was not its firepower or its armor. The real problem was moving such a heavy tank. The tank used the V2 series 12-cylinder diesel engine, which was also used in the KV-1. Depending on the production batch, this engine produced between 500 and 600 horsepower. It could propel the KV-2 to approximately 25 kilometers per hour on roads. On rough terrain, its average speed was around 12 kilometers per hour. Its range of approximately 240 kilometers appeared sufficient in theory, but high fuel consumption became a major disadvantage during long operations. The power produced by the engine was often not insufficient to move the weight. The real problem was the transmission. Gearboxes frequently failed, clutches were damaged under excessive loads, and many KV-2s broke down on the road before they could even reach the front. As a result, a significant proportion of the vehicles lost during the war were not destroyed by enemy fire. They were lost because of mechanical failures. Recovering a disabled KV-2 was a problem in itself. Because of the tank's weight, recovery required 2 Voroshilovets heavy tractors, and this was often impossible. As a result, many vehicles had to be abandoned and destroyed by their own crews. The running gear used wide tracks and torsion bar suspension. This reduced ground pressure on soft terrain and contributed to its off-road performance. But the approximately 55-ton weight caused serious problems, especially during bridge crossings and in muddy terrain. The enormous turret also raised the center of gravity. This disturbed the tank's balance on sloped ground, and when the turret was turned towards certain directions, driving became even more difficult. In short, despite its powerful armor and firepower, the KV-2 was never a well-balanced heavy tank in terms of mobility. The most important purpose behind the development of the KV-2 was the 152mm M10 howitzer it carried. This weapon could fire high explosive and concrete-piercing ammunition weighing approximately 52 kilograms. Its main purpose was not to engage enemy tanks. It was designed to quickly neutralize concrete bunkers, artillery positions, and fortified positions. Many concrete structures that received a close hit were completely destroyed, and targets that challenged the standard tank guns of the period did not pose a serious problem for the KV-2. In addition to the main gun, the vehicle was equipped with 2 or 3 7.62mm DT machine guns, depending on the model. Of course, such a large weapon also had some disadvantages. The tank could carry only approximately 20 main gun rounds, and because the heavy ammunition took time to load, its rate of fire was low. The powerful recoil produced when firing affected not only the gun, but the entire tank. Especially when firing on sloped terrain, the heavy turret could disturb the vehicle's balance. Some reports even stated that the tank faced a risk of overturning. For this reason, although the KV-2's firepower was extremely impressive, it was not always possible to use that firepower continuously and rapidly. The period when the KV-2 truly became known was the beginning of Operation Barbarossa in 1941. The Soviets had originally designed the tank to destroy fortifications, but during the German advance, they were forced to use it as a heavy tank. Thanks to its thick armor, the 37 and 50mm anti-tank guns used by the Germans were often ineffective. One of the best-known examples occurred in the Raseiniai area of Lithuania. A single KV-2 blocked a critical road. It managed to stop the advance of the German 6th Panzer Division for hours. The German forces tried different weapons to disable the tank. Eventually, they were forced to use an 88mm flak anti-aircraft gun. This event clearly demonstrated the psychological effect the KV-2 could have during the early stages of the war. Despite this, the KV-2 could not become a long-lived project. Its excessive weight, frequent mechanical failures, limited mobility, and high production cost all contributed to the Soviet Union completely ending production toward the end of 1941. In the end, the KV-2 was not a perfect tank, but sometimes what makes a vehicle unforgettable is not perfection. It is the fact that it pushed the limits. With its enormous turret, 152mm howitzer, and unusual design, the KV-2 secured a special place in the history of armored vehicles. If you enjoyed this video, I want you to know that every episode you watch here is not simply the result of a few hours of research. For every video, we assemble, paint, and weather the scale tank models we use one by one to reflect real battlefield conditions. Then we place these vehicles inside dioramas that we create completely by hand, while remaining as faithful as possible to historical accuracy. We bring all of this together with extensive historical research and cinematic storytelling. Our goal is not simply to show you a tank, it is to help you truly understand it. If you would like to be part of this journey and see with us how each new model comes to life, you can join us at Warkon SteelLab. Until we meet again in the next video, when we will examine another legendary armored vehicle in full technical detail. Goodbye.